In the dark space near a dying star, a human ship floated silently. It had no lights, no radio signals, and no movement. It was like a ghost, forgotten by time. Captain Vor of the Haelor Empire looked at the strange ship on his screen. His ship, the HSS Vargan, was a large warship. Strong, fast, armed with the best weapons in the Empire. The human ship looked small and old. No weapons showed up on their scanners. No shields. No life signs. A broken human ship, Vor said with a laugh. Easy prey. His officers laughed too. For years, the Haelor Empire had defeated human ships easily. Humans were brave, yes, but weak compared to the Empire's might. Send a warning shot, Vor ordered. Let's have some fun. A bright missile shot out from the Vargan. It raced toward the silent human ship and exploded nearby. Fire lit up the darkness for a second, then disappeared. The human ship did not move. No lights, no sound, no shield response. Strange. Vor frowned. Maybe the crew is dead. Or maybe, whispered his second officer, they are waiting. The bridge grew quiet. A cold feeling passed through the air. Vor shook his head. Scan it again. The scanners beeped and hummed. The results came back. No weapons detected. No shields. No energy buildup. It's dead, Vor said. Prepare to board it. We'll take it as a prize. The officers nodded. A small boarding team got ready. They wore heavy armor and carried plasma rifles. They moved into the docking bay. As they prepared to launch, a sudden sound filled the bridge. A voice. Deep, human, and full of something cold, something ancient. You should have stayed away. The bridge fell into silence. The voice had come through the ship's own speakers. No channel had been opened. Captain Vor stood up sharply. Who said that? No one answered. His officers looked scared. One of them whispered, it came from the human ship. Before Vor could react, the lights on the bridge flickered. The ship's systems glitched for a moment, then returned to normal. Battle stations, Vor shouted. Raise shields. Alarms screamed across the Vargan. The crew ran to their posts. Weapons locked onto the silent human ship, but it still did not move, like a predator waiting in tall grass. Vor's heart pounded in his chest. Fire full battery, he ordered. Destroy it now. Bright lances of plasma shot toward the human ship. Explosions rocked the empty space around it. The human ship remained untouched. No damage. No shield flicker. No sign of pain. It just floated there, mocking them. Vor's face turned pale. Scan again. Tell me what's happening. The scanner officer stared at the screen, his voice trembling. Yes, sir. Our weapons. They didn't touch it. It's not really here. Vor's hands clenched into fists. Impossible. Fire again. Fire everything. More missiles, more plasma, more railguns. Everything the Vargan had. Space lit up like a small sun. Still, the human ship remained calm, silent, untouched. Then it moved. Slow at first, then faster. It turned smoothly toward the Vargan, its engines humming softly. No threat, no weapons locking, just moving closer. The scanner officer shouted, Sir, it's jamming our sensors. I can't see inside it anymore. Panic spread through the bridge. And then, without warning, the human ship disappeared from their screens. Gone. No trace. No signal. Like a ghost slipping into the night. Vor felt sweat on his forehead. He looked around at his crew. We lost it. Before anyone could answer, the ship shook violently. Lights blinked. Systems glitched again. A new message flashed across every screen on the bridge. Last warning. The crew stared, frozen in fear. Captain Vor gritted his teeth. He had fought in many battles. He had seen many things, but never like this. This is no broken ship, he whispered. Outside, in the dark cold of space, Something terrible was waking up. Something the Haelor Empire was not ready to face. The silent hunter had found its prey, and it had only just begun. The bridge of the Vargan was heavy with fear. Captain Vor stood frozen, staring at the empty black space where the human ship had disappeared. "Find it," Vor shouted. "Scan every direction." Officers worked quickly, their hands shaking over the controls. Scanners beeped and hummed, but nothing appeared. "It's gone, sir," the scanner officer said, voice tight with fear. No signal, no trace, nothing. Vor's mind raced. A simple human ship should not have been able to vanish like this. Not against the mighty Haelor Empire. "Prepare all weapons," he ordered. "Stay ready. It might come back." As he spoke, a deep, low vibration ran through the Vargan. Lights flickered again. Something was here. Something was close. Before Vor could react, the ship shook violently. Sparks flew from a console. Officers screamed. "Damage report." Vor barked. An engineer yelled, "Our rear shields are down." Engines flickering. "But nothing hit us," another officer shouted. Vor's heart dropped. Outside the Vargan, space twisted slightly, like something invisible was moving. Then, without warning, the human ship reappeared, right behind them. It moved fast, silent, deadly. "Target it," Vor shouted. "Fire everything." Cannons, missiles, plasma bolts, all fired at once. The sky lit up. But before the weapons could hit, the human ship twisted sharply to the side. It danced through the fire like a ghost, untouched. On the bridge, the crew stared in horror. "How can it move like that?" someone gasped. The human ship circled the Vargan once, like a shark around a wounded whale. Then it struck. A single thin beam of blue light flashed from the human ship. It touched the Vargan's main engine. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, boom. The engine exploded, sending fire and smoke through the rear of the Vargan. The entire ship shook violently. Crew members were thrown from their chairs. Lights died. "We've lost main power," the engineer screamed. "No engines," another shouted. The Vargan was dead in space. Captain Vor grabbed a railing, steadying himself. His mind raced. "Weapons. Fire manually if you have to," he yelled. But the weapons systems were offline too. The human ship had crippled them with a single, perfect shot. "This can't be happening," Vor whispered. On the screen, the human ship hovered calmly, watching, waiting, toying with them. Then another ship arrived. The HSS Dorith, a Haelor war cruiser, jumped in with a flash of light. It was bigger and stronger than the Vargan. "We are saved," one officer cried. The Dorith's captain hailed the Vargan. "Captain Vor, stand by. We will destroy that thing." Vor opened the channel. "Be careful. It's not normal." But before he could finish, the Dorith opened fire. A massive volley of missiles and plasma blasts raced toward the human ship. The human ship moved again, twisting, dodging, disappearing. Every shot missed. Then it attacked. A second blue beam flashed. The Dorith's shield generator exploded. In seconds, the Haelor cruiser was helpless. The human ship fired again. This time, it targeted the Dorith's bridge. A silent flash, and the giant cruiser went dark. No more lights. No more weapons. Just a dead hulk drifting through space. Captain Vor stared, his face pale. One small human ship had taken down 2 Haelor warships. Without taking a single hit, panic spread across the Vargan's bridge. Some officers whispered prayers, others just stared at the screen, frozen in fear. Vor slammed his fist on the control panel. "This is no ordinary human ship," he shouted. "This is a hunter." He looked around at his terrified crew. "This is our mistake," he said, voice low. "We should have never attacked." Outside, the human ship turned slowly to face the Vargan again. Silent. Unstoppable. The hunt was not over. It had only just begun. News of the attack spread fast across the Haelor Empire. 2 mighty warships, destroyed by one small human ship. Impossible. Unbelievable. But it was true. At the Imperial Command Center, deep inside the capital world Haelon Prime, the High Council gathered in secret. Holoscreens showed the silent, grainy footage of the battle. The human ship danced through fire like it was alive. Their best warships were broken like toys. Counselor Drake, an old and proud leader, slammed his fist on the table. "This must be a trick," he shouted. "A hologram, a human illusion." But Admiral Sorn, head of the Haelor Navy, shook his head. "No illusion," Sorn said grimly. "The wreckage of the Vargan and the Dorith has been recovered. The damage is real. The dead are real." The room fell silent. Counselor Mira, the youngest among them, leaned forward. "How can a single human ship do this?" Sorn's face was dark. "We don't know." He tapped a button. A new holo image appeared, the human ship. Small, silent, dark. No known design, no records. "It's not like any human ship we've seen before," Sorn said. "It doesn't match any blueprint. No name, no call sign. It moves too fast," Mira whispered. "It dodges weapons. It attacks perfectly." Counselor Drake growled. "Send a fleet. 10 ships, 20 ships. Crush it." Admiral Sorn looked at him coldly. "How do you fight what you cannot catch?" he asked quietly. No one answered. Fear hung in the air. The Empire had always seen humans as brave but weak. Not anymore. Now, they were afraid. Meanwhile, far from the capital, the silent hunter floated alone in deep space. Inside, a human captain sat in a dark command chair. His face was calm, his eyes sharp. His name was Commander Reyes. He looked at the readouts on his screen. The Haelor ships were gathering. More would come. Good. They needed a lesson. Humans had warned the Empire before. Stay away from Earth. Respect the treaties. But the Haelor had laughed at them, mocked them, attacked them. Now, the time for warnings was over. Commander Reyes smiled slightly. Not a warm smile. A hunter's smile. "We gave you a chance," he whispered. "You chose war." He pressed a button. The ship hummed softly, like a predator stretching before a kill. Systems online. Weapons ready. Stealth engines warm. The hunt would continue. And this time, the galaxy would learn. Humans were not weak. They were patient. And when pushed too far, they became something far worse. Back at Haelor Command, alarms blared suddenly. "Emergency message," an officer shouted. "Another patrol lost." Counselor Mira stood up sharply. "Lost where?" The officer's voice shook. "Sector 7, near the remains of the Vargan." Mira turned to Sorn. "It's hunting us." Admiral Sorn nodded grimly. "And it's not finished." The counselors looked at each other. For the first time in centuries, the Haelor Empire felt real fear. They had picked the wrong human ship to attack. And now it was too late to stop what was coming. The Haelor Empire was in panic. News of the lost patrol spread like wildfire. Ships that had tried to hunt the human ship were now gone. They were left in pieces, destroyed in the same silent way as the Vargan and Dorith. Counselor Mira paced nervously in the Imperial Command Center. "How do we stop it?" she asked. Admiral Sorn stood still, his face grim. "We can't catch it. We can't even see it half the time." Suddenly, a voice interrupted. "Send more ships. Lure it into a trap." Everyone turned to see an older counselor, named Bile, step forward. His eyes were sharp, full of confidence. "I've studied the human tactics before," Bile said, looking around the room. "We know how they think. Their ships are fast, but their weapons are powerful, and their stealth technology can be tricked. If we can catch it in a location it doesn't expect, we can destroy it." The room went silent. It was a risky plan, but it was the only plan they had left. "We'll set up a trap," Bell continued, "in the asteroid field near Sector 7. We send a few ships first to act as bait. The human ship will think it's an easy target. Then we surround it. We destroy it before it can escape." Admiral Sorn nodded slowly. "It's dangerous, but we have no choice." "Then we begin immediately," Bell said with a smile. Far from the Empire's planning rooms, Commander Reyes sat in the control room of his ship, the Silent Hunter. He stared at the holographic map of the galaxy. He knew the Haelor would come for him. They were not stupid. They had been humiliated enough. They would try again. Reyes's fingers moved across the controls. He already knew what they were planning. "They think they can trap me," he muttered to himself. "They think I'm going to fall for their tricks." But he had one advantage the Haelor didn't have. He understood them. He knew how they worked. He had studied their tactics. "They'll try to use the asteroid field," Reyes whispered. "They'll make their move soon." And he was ready. The Haelor ships jumped into Sector 7, just as planned. A few ships moved first, scattering across the empty space. They seemed weak. No threat at all. The Silent Hunter watched from a distance, hidden by its stealth technology. It waited. The Haelor ships moved closer. The bait was set, and the trap was closing in. "Now," Reyes whispered. Without warning, he commanded his ship to move. The Silent Hunter shot through space, faster than any of the Haelor ships could track. It appeared, then disappeared, leaving a trail of empty space behind it. It was like a ghost moving through shadows. The Haelor ships fired their weapons. Plasma beams streaked through the blackness, missing by miles. Then Reyes struck. He fired a single beam of blue light, just like before. It hit the nearest Haelor ship in the engines, sending it spinning out of control. Then he disappeared again. The Haelor ships scrambled, firing wildly, trying to lock on to the invisible threat. But they were too slow. One by one, Reyes picked them off. He destroyed their engines, crippled their weapons. He never gave them a chance to fight back. The Haelor ships were in chaos. They couldn't see him. They couldn't track him. And the trap they set, it was now their tomb. Back at the Haelor command, the Empire was trembling. The trap had failed. Another patrol was lost. Another plan destroyed. Admiral Sorn stood at the command table, watching helplessly as more and more ships vanished. His face was pale, his mind racing. "What do we do now?" Mira asked, voice low and tense. Sorn looked at her, his eyes filled with worry. "We don't have much time," he whispered. "We've underestimated the humans. Badly." In the darkness of space, the Silent Hunter hovered over the wreckage of the Haelor fleet. Reyes leaned back in his chair, looking at the pieces of Haelor ships scattered across space. "Too easy," he muttered, a small smile tugging at his lips. He had known the Haelor would fall for the trap they set for themselves. He had known it would be this simple. Now, with the Empire in disarray, he had only one thing left to do. He activated a comlink, sending a single message to Earth. "We've sent our warning," Reyes said, his voice calm. "The Haelor Empire is broken, but we're not done yet." He turned off the comlink. The next move was up to Earth. And this time, the Haelor would not have a chance to recover. The Haelor Empire was on the edge of collapse. The Silent Hunter had crushed their fleets, one by one, without mercy. The command center on Halon Prime trembled under the weight of its failures. Their greatest enemies were not the other alien empires. It was the humans. Counselor Bale stood before the High Council, his face pale. "I've never seen anything like it," he said, voice filled with fear. "This ship, it moves like a shadow. We can't fight it. We can't stop it." Admiral Sorn clenched his fists in frustration. "We underestimated them. We were too confident. They are not like any enemy we've ever faced." Counselor Mira spoke up, her voice sharp. "We need to end this. The humans will keep attacking. They will keep humiliating us. Val's eyes narrowed as he thought about their options. There's one more thing we can try. A final chance. But it's risky. Soren looked at Val, his expression hard. What do you mean? We bring everything, Val said quietly. We gather every warship we have left. We corner the human ship and destroy it. If we don't act now, we'll lose everything. The council was silent. They knew Val was right, but they also knew it could be the end of the Haelor Empire. Far out in space, the silent hunter moved silently among the stars. Commander Reyes watched the display as the Haelor fleet began to assemble. This would be their last attempt to stop him. They think they can trap me again, he muttered, his voice calm. But they don't know how far we've come. Reyes leaned back in his chair, his eyes cold. The Haelor had learned nothing. They still underestimated humanity. They didn't realize that humans had learned from every battle. They were stronger, smarter, and more patient than any other species in the galaxy. They just needed the right moment. And that moment was coming. The Haelor fleet gathered in the depths of space, close to the asteroid field. The plan was simple. Surround the silent hunter and destroy it before it could escape. Every ship that had survived the previous attacks was now part of this final mission. It was all or nothing. Admiral Soren looked at the massive fleet on his holoscreen. This is it, he said. We win, or we fall. Val stood beside him, eyes cold and focused. We have no choice now. If we fail here, the Empire is done. On the silent hunter, Reyes watched as the Haelor fleet moved into position. He could see the ships coming closer. They thought they had him cornered. They're too slow, Reyes whispered. And they're too many. He turned to his crew. Prepare for the final strike. They want to fight. They'll get one. The silent hunter powered up, its systems glowing as the ship readied itself for battle. Reyes's fingers hovered over the controls. This would be the end of this war, one way or another. The battle began. The Haelor ships moved in quickly, surrounding the silent hunter. Plasma weapons and laser beams lit up the void of space. The silent hunter dodged and weaved between them, moving like a phantom in the night. Every Haelor shot missed by miles. But the humans didn't just run. They fought back. Reyes fired a precise beam of energy, hitting a Haelor cruiser square in the middle. The ship exploded in a burst of light, sending debris flying. Another Haelor ship tried to lock on to the silent hunter, but it was too late. A barrage of missiles slammed into the ship's hull, sending it spinning into the darkness. The Haelor fleet was being destroyed, piece by piece. But they didn't stop. They kept coming. Admiral Soren's voice boomed across the fleet's comms. Stay focused. Don't let it escape. But the silent hunter didn't plan on escaping. Reyes wasn't running. He was hunting. With the Haelor fleet distracted by the chaos, Reyes moved in for the final strike. He locked onto the largest Haelor ship, the flagship. The one in charge. One shot. One hit. Reyes fired. The beam tore through the flagship's shields and punched through its core. The ship exploded in a massive fireball, sending shockwaves across the battlefield. The Haelor fleet froze. Admiral Soren watched in disbelief. The flagship was gone. The Empire's hope was shattered. Back at Haelor Command, the Council looked on in horror as their flagship was destroyed. The battle was lost. The Empire was broken. Is it over? Mira asked, voice trembling. Val stood silent, staring at the display. Yes, he whispered, it's over. The silent hunter had won. In the cold, dark void of space, the silent hunter floated quietly. The Haelor fleet was in ruins, scattered across the stars. Commander Reyes stood at the helm, his face calm, his eyes cold. The Haelor Empire had learned the hard way. He turned to his crew. Prepare to return to Earth. We've done what we needed to do. Reyes didn't smile. He didn't need to. Humanity had sent its message. And now, the galaxy knew. You never picked the wrong human ship to attack. The galaxy had changed. The Haelor Empire, once feared by many, was now nothing more than a shattered memory. Ships of their once mighty fleet drifted in silence, their crews defeated or scattered. The silent hunter had done its job, broken the heart of the Haelor war machine. But while the Haelor Empire lay in ruins, something else was awakening. On Earth, leaders gathered in the high-tech command center. Commander Reyes, along with a few key military figures, stood before them, his eyes focused. The room buzzed with energy, yet a tense silence filled the air. "We've defeated the Haelor," Reyes said, "but the fight isn't over. The galaxy has taken notice of what happened. And now, others will come." General Sarah, the head of Earth's armed forces, leaned forward, her face grim. "What do you mean by others?" Reyes's gaze hardened. "The Haelor were only one piece of the puzzle. We've proven we're not to be underestimated. Now, other empires, smaller ones, more dangerous ones, will test us. We can't rest yet. The galaxy is shifting." General Sarah exchanged looks with the other officers. Everyone knew the Haelor were just the first of many threats. Humanity had won a victory, but peace was not yet in reach. In a dark, quiet corner of the galaxy, a different kind of meeting was taking place. A war council, far from Earth, met in secret. Leaders from several powerful empires, rivals to the Haelor, discussed the recent events. Their minds were focused on one thing: the humans. "They've proven their strength," said Commander Xal of the Vorn Empire, his voice low and dangerous. "We can no longer ignore them. They destroyed the Haelor fleet with ease. We should be preparing for war." Queen Cora of the Liska Dominion stared at the holographic map of the galaxy, her sharp eyes narrowing. "Yes, the Haelor were foolish to underestimate humanity, but we can learn from their mistakes. We will not make the same error. Instead, we should use them. Humans are strong, but they are also proud. We will use their arrogance against them." Her words sent a chill through the room. The other leaders understood what she meant. Manipulation, strategy, and fear. That's how they would defeat humanity. "We'll see how long the humans can maintain their pride when the galaxy shows them its true power," Commander Xal added. Back on Earth, Commander Reyes stood in the war room, watching as new intelligence reports flooded in. A cold sweat ran down his back. The situation was worse than he thought. "They're preparing for something big," Reyes muttered, turning to General Sarah. "The galaxy isn't going to sit back and watch. We need to be ready." Sarah nodded. "We can't underestimate them. They'll strike at our weaknesses, and they know that we haven't fully recovered from the Haelor War." The situation was clear. Earth had to prepare for a new wave of enemies, ones that would be smarter and more ruthless than the Haelor. Reyes had to move fast. He couldn't wait for more ships to be built. They needed to act now, before humanity was caught off guard. Far across the galaxy, the War Council of the Vorn Empire was finalizing its plans. The first wave of ships was already being assembled. The Queen of the Liska Dominion had agreed to an alliance. Temporary, but dangerous. Together, they would crush humanity. "Send the message," Commander Xal ordered. "Prepare the fleets. We move in 2 weeks." But little did they know, humanity had been listening. Reyes had his sources, and his spies were already inside the Vorn Empire. Their movements were being tracked. The humans had learned too. They weren't the same weak species they had once been. Reyes had his own plan, and when the time was right, he would strike first. Back on Earth, Reyes gathered his team of top commanders. He stood before them, his face serious but determined. "We're facing a galaxy that is about to shift, and we need to be the ones to control that shift," Reyes said. "We've seen what happens when we wait. The Haelor were only the beginning. Now we must take action. We strike first, we hit hard, and we make sure that no empire dares challenge us again." General Sarah looked at Reyes, then at the team. "We've been on the defense long enough. It's time for us to go on the offensive. But we can't do this alone. We need allies. The room fell silent. The weight of Sarah's words hung in the air. Humanity had already proven its strength, but the path forward would not be easy. They needed to reach out to other factions in the galaxy. They needed allies to survive the coming storm. Ray's eyes darkened, his fists clenched. We'll make allies. We'll show the galaxy that we are not just survivors. We are the future. The decision was made. Earth's new strategy was clear. They would take the fight to the other empires before they could get a chance to strike first. But it wasn't just about military power anymore. It was about diplomacy, forming alliances, and proving that humanity was no longer a species to be underestimated. The galaxy had been shaken, and as Ray stood looking out into the stars, he knew that the shift was only just beginning. This war would not be won with force alone. But the Silent Hunter had proven that humans could fight, harder than anyone ever expected. And now, the galaxy would have to face the consequences. Humanity had learned to adapt, to fight, and to survive. And soon, every empire in the galaxy would know the truth. No one, not even the greatest empires, was safe from the wrath of humanity. The galaxy was on the brink of a new era, and humanity was at the center of it. The once small species that had been underestimated by every empire was now the most powerful force in the galaxy. But with that power came new enemies, those who wanted to destroy humanity before it became unstoppable. Commander Ray stood in the command center, his eyes fixed on the holographic map in front of him. The alliances they had formed were now stronger than ever, but the time had come to face the final battle. "It's all come down to this," Ray said, his voice calm but filled with determination. "We know the Vorn and the Liska are planning their attack. They'll come at us with everything they have, but we will not back down." General Sarah stood next to Ray's, her eyes sharp and focused. "We've prepared for this. The fleets are ready. The allies are in position. We strike first. We take the fight to them." Ray's nodded. The final confrontation was upon them. No more waiting. No more second chances. This was it. Across the galaxy, the Vorn Empire was preparing its largest fleet ever. Commander Xal stood at the helm, overseeing the final stages of the battle plan. The Liska Dominion had agreed to join them, bringing even more firepower to the fight. They were confident. They believed they had the upper hand. "They won't stand a chance," Xal muttered, watching as the fleet's ships lined up in formation. "Humanity has made its move, and now we end it." But even as he spoke, a feeling of unease settled in his stomach. There was something about this fight, something he couldn't put his finger on. He had seen what the humans could do, and it was far beyond anything he had imagined. But it was too late to back down now. Ray and his team were aboard the Silent Hunter, ready for the final push. The ships of humanity and their allies were spread out across space, each prepared to strike the enemy with everything they had. The plan was clear. Attack the Vorn and Liska fleets head-on, break their formations, and force them into retreat. The fleet moved forward in silence. The tension in the air was thick. Every soldier, every officer, every pilot knew what was at stake. This wasn't just about survival. It was about proving that humanity was no longer the underdog. Ray stood on the bridge, his eyes scanning the view screen as the enemy fleets came into view. The battle was about to begin. The first shots rang out, breaking the silence of space. Missiles and laser beams flew through the void, striking ships with deadly force. The Vorn and Liska ships fired back, but humanity was ready. The Silent Hunter weaved between the enemy fire, unleashing precision strikes that disabled entire fleets. Ray's voice echoed through the comms. "Stay focused. We break them now. No mercy." And that's exactly what they did. The battle raged on for hours, each side pushing with all their might. But the humans were different. Their ships moved with precision, their tactics unpredictable. The Vorn and Liska couldn't keep up. One by one, the enemy ships fell. Explosions rocked space, and the once proud fleets of the Vorn Empire and the Liska Dominion were scattered, their power broken. But the final fight wasn't over. Commander Xal, seeing his forces fall apart, knew that if he didn't do something soon, the war would be lost. He ordered his flagship, the Vorn Slayer, to charge forward. It was a desperate move, a last-ditch effort to destroy the Silent Hunter. Xal's ship moved toward Ray's vessel, weapons firing relentlessly. The Silent Hunter dodged the attacks, but the Vorn Slayer kept coming, determined to end the fight. Ray's didn't hesitate. He gave the order. Full power to the weapons. Lock onto the Vorn Slayer. The Silent Hunter fired its most powerful shot yet, a beam of pure energy that sliced through space and struck the Vorn Slayer head-on. The flagship exploded in a burst of light, disintegrating into pieces. Xal's last hope was gone. The rest of the enemy fleets saw their leader fall and began to retreat. The humans and their allies pushed forward, overwhelming them at every turn. Within hours, the battle was over. The galaxy had witnessed something incredible. Humanity, once a species on the edge of survival, had crushed two of the most powerful empires in the galaxy. The Vorn Empire was defeated. The Liska Dominion was shattered, and the galaxy would never be the same. Back on Earth, the leaders watched the final moments of the battle on their screens. The victory was theirs, but Ray's knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and there would always be new challenges. But humanity had proven something important today. They were no longer just survivors. They were the apex predators of the galaxy. Ray stood at the command center, staring at the stars. "We've won," he said quietly. "But this is just the start. We are the future, and no one will ever forget what humanity can do." The message had been sent. The galaxy now knew that humanity was a force to be reckoned with, and no empire, no matter how powerful, would dare challenge them again.